You're listening to The Female Solution. I'm your host, Naima Latif. And I've got hosts with me today because today is Woman to Woman with Wanda Carter. Our producer, Wanda Carter of Woman to Woman, has put together a great show that combines her dynamic TV show, Woman to Woman. And as you know, that's a panel of women addressing the issues between women that tend to create barriers to us working together. So we've had some fantastic shows over the years, and our host for today for Woman to Woman with Wanda Carter is Sandra Campbell. So we're going to go now live to Sandra Campbell.
Welcome. Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here with my sisters doing the Women's Solution and for Women to Women. I'd like to immediately go into allowing our wonderful panel of women to introduce themselves.
Hi everyone, this is Asaya, and I am the Tuesday host for Gathering of the Griots, and I'm the founder of the Soulful Chicago Book Fair. And so basically what that does is it brings Black writers to the south side of Chicago, and we talk about it. We talk about the stories and the people every Tuesday morning from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m.
Can't hear you.
I'm Evangel Mamadi Love Nubian, and my program is Mondays, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., called Wisdom, Women in Support of Daughters, or on motherhood, preparations, and spiritually speaking, men who do the will are mothers too.
Greetings. Creative Day to everyone. I am Beloved, and you listen to my show every Saturday from noon to 2 o'clock. We are Women Entrepreneurs International, the smart choice. Your business is our business, and it's our business to help your business grow. Who are we? We are Women Entrepreneurs International. We're helping women to become financially free. Financially free. And if you are not financially free, you really need to call into the show and participate, okay? I'm looking forward to hearing you.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Johnson, and I was one of the co-hosts from Women to Women, and I'm still in the health and wellness industry, and I have a few more things going. I don't have a show of my own yet, but I'm currently working on it. Thank you.
Talking about how do we get back to the real sisterhood. Not going to tell our ages. However, many of us have known each other 30 plus years. And we can remember back in the day when we were in college, you know, some had children, some did not. Some were newly divorced, some were newly wed. And it was still a matter of making sure that that sister got to that next stage with whatever she needed. I mean, if there was a need for child care, we were there. If there was a need for, you know, telling them how to make that new marriage work or how to sustain that current marriage and keep things alive. And also just being there for one another. We're talking about the issues that we went through with our parents, you know. I mean, what daughter didn't have a fight with her mother, you know? And here we were as sisters. We were encouraging, we were supportive, and we don't see that nowadays. As a matter of fact, many of the young women don't know what sisterhood really is. And that's one of the things we want to talk about today. How can we get back to that level of sisterhood? How do we find that real sisterhood? Because many a times women are very cautious of other women. Naima talked about the fact that many women are very distrusting, very jealous, envious. You know, I myself am not one of those women. I don't have a problem. I'm very happy when my sisters achieve something. And I'm also very brokenhearted when I see them suffer a loss or disappointment. So we want to open it up to all our panel members because as you see, all of us are very experienced. And let's see what, you know, hopefully if you want to call in and share your opinion, we would love to hear it, or even give some suggestions as to how we can get back to what we call real sisterhood. And I'm going to start with Beloved. I mean, she's just very calm. I mean, I get this really great vibe sitting next to her. Come on, Beloved, tell me a little bit about sisterhood and what you define as real sisterhood.
What I define as real sisterhood, I'm going to go back to when I was coming up. I think the real deal here is that we really had family, we really had true sisterhood, and I think it was because we lived in segregated communities. And because we lived in segregated communities, we really had a truer sisterhood. I think somewhere like in the 60s, late 60s, early 70s, we got into this me generation. It's your thing. Do what you want to do.
I like this song.
You know? So, but I see that this is where it really started to break down. We started looking for material things that took us away from family values.
Okay.
And until we get back to the family values, we're missing it big time. There's a true disconnect between our youth, our children, and with us.
Okay.
So I realize that what we have to do is we've got to come back together. And if you ask me, I would say we need to put sisters in a room over a weekend so we can start, let me put it this way, so we can start telling the truth. Because unless we start to come together and bond and grow together, we're not going to be able to do anything else, period. Our children will see us, the real deal. You know, when I was coming up, my mom would say, if Miss Jones called and she didn't want to talk to me, she said, tell Miss Jones I'm not here. And I would say exactly what she said. My mom said she's not here. So I'm saying that to say we can no longer cover up because the world is looking at us.
Yeah.
And until we come together as women of color, or black women, sisters, you really can't practice a sisterhood. You really can't pool your resources. I'm talking about dollars. Because we're not going to go anywhere if we can't pool dollars together. If you need somebody to come and help you move, we should be there. Now, I'm real excited about this part because unless we start to practice what we preach, it ain't happening.
That's true. Liz, tell me, what do you think about sisterhood? How do we get back to the real sisterhood?
The real sisterhood is putting down the smartphones, the texting, get off of Twitter, get off of Facebook, and stop telling the world your business. Half of us don't know you. Half of us don't want to know you or what you're doing on Facebook. What we need to do is that if you have a problem, I think all of us on this panel had a mentor. All of us on this panel had a mother that told you up front real quick, I am not here to be your friend. I am here to be your mother. So the bottom line is we got to start with the real hard choices. That if your child is not passing in school, why are you spending $600 for an iPhone? Or even if your child is passing in school, why are you spending that kind of money on the phone? When I did teach 5th grade, I told my children, instead of having your parents buy you Nike gym shoes, tell them to take that money and buy stock in Nike. So we need to educate the parents, whether they're young, everybody needs a guide. First of all, children don't come here with a map. Parents, when we become parents, it wasn't presto change or we know what to do. So all of us make decisions. So what we do is we have to find somebody in our community, somebody that we trust, and you can talk to them. You can actually ask them questions. And if we see you doing something wrong, or we see you doing something that might be not quite the right thing, when we go in to ask you or tell you or make a suggestion, we don't need to get cussed out about it, because the only thing that we're telling you is we've been there, we've done that, and this might be a way that you might want to try it. All children should be on a schedule. They shouldn't go to bed when they get ready to. They shouldn't eat when they get ready to, because as they get older, they got to be on a schedule because they're going to be in school. You need your children on a schedule. They need to know when they're going to eat. All children need guidelines. Adults need guidelines. Without it, you just have helter-skelter.
Well, thank you, Liz. Now, Mother?
Okay. Mama D here. We are family. I got my sisters with me. And I think that's what true sisterhood is rooted in. In the yesteryear time, way, way long ago, I was going to tell your mama, I was exposed to true sisterhood at the Million Women's March when I kicked off the call to prayer that kicked off the Million Women's March in Philadelphia. I think it's 20 years coming up this October.
Wow.
And I was really exposed to what true sisterhood was. And one of the things that we discussed is when you see another sister, smile at her. Smile at her. Let her know that she is seen, that she is appreciated, that she is valued. That's what that smile says. And it doesn't cost you anything. But our problem is, we used to have, it takes a village to raise a child, and it wasn't a slogan. It was the real deal. There were two institutions, the institution of Black mamahood and the institution of the Black church. Somebody was going to tell your mama because somebody knew your mama. So you couldn't do dirt in front of my house, couldn't do dirt in front of anybody else's house, because somebody was going to tell your mama, and when you got home, somebody had already told your mama.
Yes, yeah.
And the children enforced the zero tolerance for talking about anybody's mama. The children took that personally. If somebody's talking about your mama, we don't care what she did, when she did it, how often she did it, and who saw her do it. It was zero tolerance for somebody talking about your mama. And we're going to meet you after school, and we're all going to gang around. And this, if you were a coward, you had to fight that day. Because if you don't get him, he was talking about your mama, and we're all taking it personal, talking about our mama, then we're going to get you. And we just sit down. He talked about your mama. That was it. So it was a thing that people did. But today, unfortunately, I can't tell your mama because I don't know your mama. Your mama never knocked on my mama's door and said, you got a cup of sugar, you know, or whatever you were out of. There was no this little reaching out to each other. I can't tell your mama if I don't know your mama, but I can call 911 and the police will come and they will take your 6-year-old child to jail. So it is vital that we bring those, some things was good in the good old days, and that I'm going to tell your mama instead of telling the police went a long ways.
Okay, I'm a rep for the young heads on this call right here, because I've taught first grade, I've taught 5th grade, high school, but I think one of the problems is that we want them to learn what we experienced, but we are not, in 2017, articulating how we're going to meet them where they are. They are technological children, right. And to want to strip them of that is to strip them from the rest of the world and where the rest of the world is. What are we doing? Our children, babies swipe. That's what they do. They know how to work technology. And so we need to find ways to take our issues and incorporate them into the life that is theirs. If we strip them of that technology, then we are saying we do not want them to compete with the rest of the world. Because the rest of the world has their children using technology to forward their races. And we want our children to step back and put down the technology and do what? Follow us? Come on now. We have to meet them for the new millennium.
But how does
not
that
return back?
But how does that influence sisterhood, though?
Oh, definitely. Well,
I embrace technology. I embrace technology drastically. And
can we make a sisterhood app? Can we make a sisterhood app where they have to click on the sister's name and where's she from, and let's start to talk from state to state, and let me tap this sister in Botswana because she wears her hair like me, and she wears the same designer shoes, and so we start talking from Botswana to Chicago. Can we develop an app
But
called
does that evoke the trust that you need and that you have
It might.
from the genuine sisterhood?
Sure, it might. We don't know because we ain't do it.
One of the things I heard up here was when we talked about communication, especially with Beloved, and when Elizabeth was talking. Again, one of the things that we've lost is the ability or the willingness to communicate. I mean, I love technology. Nobody embraces technology more than I do. Everything I've got is technological. You'd be surprised. But at the same time, there has to be a humanistic side of things. With everything that I do, including like today with teleworking. I telework even. And I've actually had to deal with people that I've never seen, but how that you still need to impose upon them that compassion and that openness that one doesn't necessarily receive with technology.
No, we don't receive it with technology, but they do. My daughter is 13, and she talks to 10 friends at one time on the phone, and they're all looking at each other. And so they're talking, they're laughing, they're sharing ideas, they're saying what you're watching. So the relationships that they're fostering are coming in a different way of communication. But they don't communicate like us anymore. Why do we want them to
let Beloved say something, and then we're going to give it to Liz.
What I want to say, what I know.
Okay.
Not what I think, but what I know. With all the technology that our children have, what our children really want from us is LOVE.
Yes.
Correct.
They want love from us.
But don't get off on the kids. We're talking about the sisterhood now.
This is the sisterhood.
Okay.
Because unless we show LOVE to one another, children live what they learn.
Correct.
They live what they learn. Our children want love from us. In Naima's book, The Female Solution, how much do we really share with one another?
Correct.
See, that's the name of the game. It's how much do we share. What do I do for you? Do I call you up and I ask you, hey, Sandra, what is it that I can do for you? Can I go to the store for you? Can I hem a garment for you?
And I tell people, don't say I'm not here.
Well,
I'm not home. I mean, when I look at my phone, I'm not answering that right now. Right.
Yeah, and so, but what I'm saying here is that what the sisterhood needs is to fess up. What do we really do for one another? I mean, I've got a sister that when she comes in, she's too tired to prepare anything. She's in school. I mean, we run around like little ever-ready bunnies. And we're tasking here and multitasking there. And I'm saying, stop. When do you put yourself in your life?
Yeah, time for yourself.
When do you put yourself in your life?
Could I? You know, I don't think we are all human beings. And a machine will never take the place of that. All of us was exposed to technology. It's not like we skipped technology and left the horse and buggy and went just straight to computers. We had phones, which the people before us didn't have those phones. We had lots of plastic. All the plastics used today, that was new technology. So it's not like every generation has had technology, but you have a robotized relationship with your children, with everybody you know, because you're sitting next to somebody at dinner and you're on the phone. You can't look at that person and talk to them. You got to text message and talk to them, and we're thinking that's good. As the technology goes up, the murder rates go up. We have never seen anything like the children. They are wiser and they are wickeder. They are committing suicide at the age 5 to 11.
But I'm saying you guys have gotten off on the kids. We're not talking about the kids.
No, but they're part of our sisterhood. If we're going to foster sisterhood, we're going to have to foster it with young people too. Does anybody at this table know how sex is interpreted through emojis? Do you know what the symbols are for sex through emojis?
But that has not anything to do
with it. It is, because those are our sisters, those are young girls.
But you keep saying
we can't even talk about relationships with them because we don't know how they interpret relationships is even shown figuratively, like an image.
Has anybody
you don't even know that.
The trip the sister trip or whatever.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, Queen Latifah.
What is the name of it?
Yeah, it's the road trip.
Road trip.
Wonderful movie. I saw it a couple of weekends ago when it first came out. Wonderful thing. And again, very, very realistic, because I can tell you, I got a friend sitting right here in Wanda Carter and our friendship extends to very similar to that with what we were going to do when we got out of school, and we're in two different career fields now. But again, that doesn't, going after the kids isn't necessarily going after the sisterhood.
That was about sisterhood. That whole month.
And that's what we're talking about, sisterhood.
That whole movie was about sisterhood.
Correct.
However, these were queen of the crop, successful women.
Not
and
really.
For them to,
she was getting a car repossessed.
Right.
She was paying the rich. She wasn't paying the bills.
She was wearing clothes with the tags
all
to take them back.
People.
I keep my
and then another woman goes through and urinates over a whole crowd of people below. You go into this grapefruit thing where you are oral sex and all over it.
But again, that's what sisters share, though. But see, you're missing it. That's what sisters share.
What I'm saying is, these were the successful black women. When you saw sisterhood with white women, they had Steel Magnolia. They had working 9 to 5. There was a level of decency in with these women. But those were sisterhood in a real friend way. This was man hungry, vile.
You didn't see the movie?
The queen of that road trip. I knew something was up when I saw the two women's legs and the other woman with her tongue hanging out in between those women's legs. I knew something was up, and I didn't find it funny at all. And we got a lot of work to do.
You didn't like the movie?
If that is what is representing our best as females, we got a lot of work to do.
Well, Mama D, I hope you get to go back and see the movie again. I'm one of those people. I really need to see a movie.
Did you go to the movie?
2 or 3 times. I need to see a movie 2 or 3 times to make sure I really get all of it. But I did pay attention. I did pay attention to the movie, and I did see it, and that it was more substance than that. What you saw there probably was maybe an attention getter, because you do need to hold people's attention. And again, they did touch on areas when you get together as sisters. That's the whole thing about sisterhood. There are no holds barred when we get together to have conversations. I mean, that was the thing in the sisterhood that we used to do when we used to have our pajama parties. I mean, all of us can remember, even if we had pajama parties as teenagers, that was our opportunity to wait for the parents to go to sleep so we could have those forbidden conversations, or we could get together somewhere in the park on the bench, especially here in Chicago near the water fountains, because we always had to be near the water fountain and sitting up to have that forbidden conversation to talk about the boy, if he really kissed you, whether you really kissed it as a peck or whether you were actually did you give out some tongue or something? I mean, those were the kind of things you talked about, how much money you had to go to the show, you know. When was the last time you snuck a ride on the CTA bus? You know, what you were doing, what kind of shoes you were saving up. Because we had Bakers, Goldblatts, Madigans, 3 Sisters, you know, where you going to get those clothes, Evans, how you going to have that conversation, Carsons, the real Carsons, the Marshall Fields. I mean, those were the things as you grew and you talked about where you want to go to college, what you want to do. And then when you got into college, you didn't have any food before ramen noodles. Because I can remember one time Wanda and I, while we were in school, there were 8 of us. And we were all studying for radiology. There were many a times we had our breakfast at Mount Sinai. If somebody didn't have enough, everybody broke out the coins. Everybody shaking out their purses to make sure all of us ate. All eight of us ate breakfast. We ate lunch. We had dinner. If we had cars, we had to drive to our clinicals. It was, I mean, gas was cheap then. I'm not going to tell you how cheap it is because it's telling you my age. We would have to come up with the money so we could put that gas in that person's car. You know, God forbid somebody get a flat. Then again, yes, we did have the cutest ones or the youngest ones. Roll those shorts up so they'll stop. Look at your legs. Somebody can change this flat. I mean, it was just something because you knew that somebody was going to look at you and say, oh, we feel sorry, we get another one out there, so, you know, go out there and look, start crying, go over to the security guard, and they'll send somebody over here to fix it. I mean, those were the kind of things that we did, and we shared those secrets, and we encouraged and loved each other for it. One of our sisters, her mother died, and we were right there with her. You know, everybody stopped what they were doing because we understood and we appreciated her for it. And we kept that bond, we kept that love, and you know, it's something that you keep always. You talk about your dreams.
I want to just share this bit, because I think that the sisterhood that I'm talking about is the sisterhood that says, hey, when I grew up, I owned nothing. That one pair of shoes, if I didn't have them on my foot, then the next sister had them on her foot. Everything. I want to see the kind of sisterhood that if one of my sisters loses a job, and she's not out there by herself.
Oh, we did that.
We got people in the neighborhood
gave the hookup
where 20 people can stay in one apartment, and at the end of every week, they got $20,000.
Well,
$20,000. That's what I'm talking about, the kind of sisterhood where we can do something like that.
We're having the rent parties too, right?
Sisters, we've got to wrap up this section. We're going to go to a commercial break, and we're going to come back and introduce another guest with us, and certainly we want you to join us. We've got some callers listening in, and we have something to say. I want you to join us at 515-605-9325, the Female Solution. And today is Woman to Woman with Wanda Carter as, of course, our producer, and our host today has been Sandra Campbell. And we'll be right back after this quick break. And you can join us on Facebook Live. We'll be right back, so stay with us.
Hi, how are you? I'm Jay Johnson, a.k.a. the Reverend Point Blank. We are Chirac, not with a Q, with a C. We are renewing a culture, which means that each of us have an obligation to do something about the environment, to do something about the bad air and bad oxygen, which means you simply need to brush your teeth and take a bath. So we're starting with each other. We're starting with ourselves. What we want to do is particularly find out who we are, why God created us, unify that understanding and knowledge with those people who are around you that can make that happen. And that's what Chirac is about, renewing a culture, because we only need each other.